Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about everything you need to know about next week's patch. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the first thing we're getting is a continuation of the main storyline. So chapter 6 part 2 is finally kicking in. Manon gets a new hairstyle as well as a new outfit, and hopefully we actually get some more information about the Starless as well as the new standing quest Leciel Exploration. Now speaking about the new standing quest Leciel Exploration, this is going to be very similar to Divide Quest, where it's instance based and every run is going to be randomized. So you're not going to have the same run over and over. You're always going to have different bosses, different mobs, different biomes, different everything, including different mechanics. As you can see from the mini-map over here, there's a bunch of little squares and there are different colors on these squares, and based on what symbol as well as what color, you have to do different things. So for example, there may be puzzles that you need to solve, so you need to stand on certain buttons. There may be gigantics you need to kill. There may be regular mobs that you need to kill in quick succession in order to increase the timer, because you'll notice on the top right corner there are timers over here that will tick down. So you need to constantly go fast in order to increase the time, so that when you get to the last boss, you actually have enough time to kill the last boss. What happened in the base game was, if you took your sweet time and you were a little bit slow, by the time you got to the last boss, you didn't actually have enough time to kill it, and thus you didn't get their loot. Now the nice thing about NGS is they are making it a little bit more forgiving, in the sense that even if you don't kill the last boss, you still get loot based on your participation or how much damage you've dealt. So it's not too bad. Now on top of that, another reason why you want to go really fast while running these dungeons is because the more little color cube thingies you clear, the more buffs you get. So by the time you get to the last boss, maybe the boss has a modifier that gives them like 80% more HP, but if you've done a lot of these little trials around the map, you might get like 150% more critical damage or something. So you'll be able to offset the extra HP that the boss has, because you rush through all the trials incredibly quick in order to pick up all of these really powerful buffs, which is going to help you defeat the last boss much faster and much easier. Now another thing to point out is Leciel Exploration does support up to 8 players. So normally dungeon/instance based content is usually designed around 4 players, however this one is designed around 8. Now if you don't have 8 players and you go in with 4 or you go in with 2 or whatever, it does scale to the player count. So even if you don't have any friends and you go in solo, you can still do it and you'll be perfectly fine. The only thing I'll need to test is if you go in solo and you get downed, I don't know if you get auto revived, because if you play with multiple players and you get downed, you do get auto revived. However, there is a death limit on this type of content. So I believe you can't die more than like 8 times or something. If you die more than that as a team, then you automatically fail the quest. So that is something to take into consideration. It shouldn't be too hard. I think this is definitely puggable. You know, you can play with random people and you should be fine. However, just want to let you guys know, hey, if you're fully glass cannon, you might need to be a little bit careful, or you might need to play a little bit slower, because there is a death limit, and if you die too many times, you will fail this mission. Now, of course, we do need to talk about the loot and why the heck you want to run this mission over and over. And it is because you can get the new 9-star rarity weapons to drop in this quest mode. Now, on top of that, you also get a new item called Growth Mint, which allows you to exchange for these 9-star rarity weapons. It will cost you 50 Growth Mint for the weapon in the exchange shop. However, there might be a Fixa version that will cost a little bit more. Now, something they glossed over is there is also new armors as well, and it can also drop from this content. I don't think it's available in the exchange shop. However, it is in the loot pool, so it is possible to get the new armors here. Now, just keep in mind that near the end of the month, we actually have a limited time quest which drops the Arga, Belta, as well as Sheza versions of the 8-star rarity armors. So we might need to see what armors actually drop from the Leciel Exploration, because they might not be the best armors, because as we know, the Arga, Belta, as well as Sheza variations do give you better stats, but for very specific builds. But personally, I would just wait a little bit and see the difference between the two variations before investing all of my expensive capsules into them, because as we all know, we tend to upgrade armors a little bit less than weapons. So I would hold off a little bit just to see what the new armors give us. Then once we know the stats for all of the new gear, then invest. That's what I would personally do, or what I personally recommend. Now I realized I didn't even talk about what the new weapons actually do. The new 9-star rarity weapons give you a 100% critical hit rate. Yes, that is 100% crit chance. Now something a lot of people might not know about NGS is when you hit a critical strike, it is not 200% of your regular damage. It's only 120%. So that means it's only 20% more than your maximum damage. So even though these weapons give you a 100% critical hit rate, there is a downside to this. At potential level 1, you do lose 25% potency. So that is a pretty big hit to your damage. However, we're going to need to see what the weapon potential is at level 6, because I do believe that the negative potency is going to get smaller at the higher level potencies for the weapon. So I'm hoping that's going to be like minus 10% potency and 100% crit rate. That is probably what the level 6 thing is going to be, but I might be wrong. Again, we're going to need to wait and see. But personally, I will be using these weapons because I just like the idea of having 100% crit rate. Now, do keep in mind, if you do have 100% crit rate, that negates the need of having floor potency at all. So if you want to make the most out of your 100% crit rate, you give up floor potency and you just go pure potency in order to make up the negative of the weapon potential. And since you're always going to be critting, it's going to deal tons of damage. The next thing that is coming is, of course, creative spaces. So we are getting our alliance spaces, so that's going to be really nice. Again, regarding the alliance space, the alliance leader will have to give building permissions to each individual member so that they can actually build in the alliance space. It's not on by default, because if it was, it would be pure chaos. Can you imagine 100 people just destroying and building and doing random stuff? 20 people was pretty chaotic already. So yes, basically everyone's going to be locked. Only the alliance leader will have build permissions, and they'll have to select which members are allowed to build in the alliance spaces. On top of that, we also get the new Retem theme, so that is a desert biome, which is pretty awesome. We are also getting new build parts, so that's really cool. On top of all this, we are getting a new Fixa system, so we are going to be able to add fixes to non-Fixa weapons, as well as level up those Fixa weapons. So for example, let's say that you have a Fixa 1 attack, and you want to get it to Fixa 2 attack, or Fixa 3, or Fixa 4, whatever. You'll be able to do that, and eventually you will be able to achieve a Fixa 5 on whatever weapon you want. And the nice thing about this system is you do not need the next level of Fixa to upgrade to that. So for example, let's say that you have a Fixa Fatale 1. In order to upgrade that Fixa Fatale 1 to a Fixa Fatale 2, you just need another weapon with another Fixa level 1. So you combine the two level 1 Fixas and you have a chance of that upgrading to a Fixa level 2. So it is pretty nice that that's how the system works. However, the downside is it is gambling. So there is a 10% chance of success. Now, I'm pretty sure they'll probably introduce some sort of boosters later down the line in order to increase that percentage. But from what we saw from the NGS livestream, it is a 10% chance. So it is going to take a little bit of RNG and a ton of luck. Next up is they've added a bunch of weapon camos in the Trainias. So Geometric Labyrinth, Trainia Advanced, Battle Dia Purple. You're going to be able to get all of these nice looking weapon camos. I really like the sniper rifle over here, as well as these paper people thingy. That's pretty cool as well. Next up, we're getting a bunch of quality of life changes again. So yeah, we can now change our vital gauge design. So that's the HP bar thing over here. So if you didn't like just having the plain gray or see-through color, you can now put like rappies and put like anime and other stuff and just make it a little bit more customizable. But the main thing that I care about is going to be the DPS meter. Of course, once you activate it, it's going to appear on the top right corner of your screen, and whenever you deal damage, it's going to tell you how much damage per second you do. So that's really, really nice. You can also now teleport directly to cocoons or towers, which is pretty nice, because when you teleport there before, it sent you into the cocoon or into the tower, then you'd have to abandon quest to get out. Now you just teleport right in front of the cocoon in the open world, so you can actually use them as pseudo Ryuker devices, which is really nice. Next one is the support NPCs will help you in the Battle Dia Yellows in Alio, Retem, as well as Kavaris. This is great if you're a solo player or if you're playing catch up over here, because yellow triggers are going to allow you to level up incredibly quickly, so take advantage of this. The salon now has X, Y, and Z axis, so now you actually see the little numbers, so it's going to be a lot easier to tell people, hey, this is how you make this type of face, or this is how you make this type of cosplay. It's going to be much, much nicer. I'm glad that they added this in. We have new backdrops for ARC's IDs. We have higher resolution display for other players added into the options. Keep in mind, this is for PC players only. This does not apply to consoles, because, well, the consoles would explode if everyone had this option on, because it does use a lot of CPU and GPU power. Another thing they've also added is you can now change the height of portable holograms, so you can place boxes in the sky now, which is pretty awesome. Another thing is you can check Alliance Appliant list to see who applied to join your alliance. I don't really know what this means, but I guess that's a cool change. And then they've also changed the ARC's records a little bit, where you get an attack boost when you equip a weapon on your main class. I think this is to discourage people from putting like Braver as subclass and just using Katana to beat the leaderboards, or, you know, just get really high scores. It's kind of incentivizing you to actually use whatever main class weapons of whatever class you're maining at the time. On top of that, we also have a new AC Scratch Designer Dreams, which is actually pretty cool. I like this design right here. It's got a little bird over here, that's pretty cool. And it's also got a motion glide and motion dash, which turns you into a penguin, which is pretty funny. But that's everything you need to know about next week. There is a ton of content. You should definitely get excited for it because yeah, new game modes, new gear, new armor, new weapons. There's a lot of new stuff hitting NGS. Now do keep in mind, maintenance is going to be 3 hours earlier than normal. So you know, if you haven't finished everything, especially if you haven't collected all of your Stellar Graces, you need to make sure you do that now, because I think by the time this video goes up, you have like 3 hours left before the Stellar Graces go away. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!